Hey everyone, let's discuss PTE essay today and do wait till the end of the video for the template as well. And if you still haven't subscribed to our channel, please do support us by subscribing and do share with your friends as well. So let's go ahead and break down the details, the basic information, as well as how to use the updated templates after the new changes in 2025, starting with the basic information. So first thing, essay was not a very important task before the changes. It was carrying only around 10 to 11 marks for your writing. But after the new changes with the updated scoring system, essay is extremely important. It will give you minimum 26 to 28 marks in your writing module. So that's a good chunk of points. So you should try to do it as perfectly as possible. And in the real test, it comes under the writing module. It'll be the second task in writing. You will only get one essay. You're not going to get two. You will always get just one essay. And the scoring breakdown, it's out of 26 marks, and that is broken down for different factors such as your content, form, vocabulary, grammar, spelling, linguistic range, structure, and coherence. So what do you mean by content? Content carries 6 marks for your essay. So in order to get maximum marks for your content, you need to have ideas and key points relevant to the topic given to you. So if you deviate from the topic, if you do not answer the question completely, that's when you lose marks for your content. So make sure you have enough ideas for different topics that are common in PTE, such as environment, pollution, technology, social media. There are certain topics which are repeated. And if you also need a file with the repeated topics with key points for them, please do comment below. Right. Now, content carries 6 marks, form carries 2 marks. How can you get the 2 marks for form? Is super easy. You just need to stay within the word limit. You're supposed to write only within 200 to 300 words. If you write anything below 200 or anything above 300, you're simply losing that 2 points, which is really easy to get. Ideally, write around 250 or above. Vocabulary, you get 2 points for vocabulary as well. So how to get that 2 points for? You should not be using any slang words. Use only academic formal words. No short forms, no slang words. Grammar, do not make any grammar mistake. Each grammar mistake you lose 1 mark. More than 2 grammar mistakes, you lose the entire 2 points for your grammar. Spelling also the same. 1 spelling mistake you lose 1 mark. More than 1 spelling mistake you lose the whole 2 points for your spelling. How you can avoid spelling mistakes: stop using prediction and autocorrect while you practice so that you can work on your actual skills. And second, while you're in the exam and you want to use a word but you're not really sure of the spelling, it's safer not to use the word, because if you use it and make a mistake, you're definitely going to lose a mark. But if you do not use it, no harm done. Linguistic range. So linguistic range also carries 2 marks. So how you can get more marks for linguistic ranges? The computer is expecting you to use wide variety of words. Instead of using the same words over and over again, use synonyms. For example, instead of using the word important, you can use significant or critical. This is how you can get more marks for your linguistic range. And the next factor is your structure and coherence. It also carries 6 marks, as well as linguistic range, also 6 marks. So structure. So for an essay, I have seen many students make this mistake. They write a really lengthy paragraph, but it's just a single paragraph. So your essay should have a structure, which means you need to separate it into 4 paragraphs minimum. If you can even write 5, it's okay. 4 would be perfect. So you need an introduction paragraph, you need body 1, body 2, and conclusion. And each paragraph should be separated with a space of 1 line, so the computer can recognize there are different paragraphs instead of putting them all together as a single chunk. That's how you get points for your structure. And what do you mean by coherence is every paragraph that you write should be related with each other. For example, you started your essay with a particular topic, and when you reached your body 2, you completely deviated from it. It has nothing related to what you started with. That's when you lose points for your coherence. For example, sports people and athletes receive very high salaries, but there are other professions that also deserve high salaries. Let's say you started with sports people and their salaries, and later in your body 2 or body 1, you only discussed about physical activities or sports or games. You kind of deviated from the topic, which means you did not mention anything about the salaries part. That's how you lose points for your coherence. And so it carries a total of 26 marks, and these are the factors which are evaluated. Now let's see how can you get maximum points here. So a common concern that I see among students is they are concerned what type of essays they get. Argumentative, discussion, opinion, problem solution. There are different types of essays, of course, and you could actually study different templates for each of them. But honestly, what I feel is it's easier to use a universal structure changes so that it applies to the different types. So that's what we're going to discuss today. So what can be a basic structure that you can use for any different type of essay? So every essay should have minimum 4 paragraphs: the introduction, body 1, body 2, and conclusion. So introduction is where you introduce the topic, and then you can even give one more second sentence to explain the topic, and the third sentence is where you answer according to the question. This is where many students make a mistake. So in the question, let's say they asked you, what is your opinion? Instead of writing, I agree that, you should be using the word in my opinion. If they specifically asked you, do you agree or disagree? That's where you need to write, I agree, or I disagree to the statement that. So introduction, the first sentence should be introduction of the topic. Second sentence should be explanation or more details about the topic. And the third sentence should be your stance. Which side are you going to take? If they asked you opinion, write in my opinion. If they asked you, do you agree or disagree? Just say, I agree or I disagree. Use the words which are similar to what is given in the question. And body 1, this is where you're going to take sides and explain your ideas. Body 1, always start with the connector. So if you're going to have your body 2 as an opposing idea, start body 1 with on one hand and body 2 with on the other hand. But if you're going to write the same side for both body 1 and body 2, you can start with firstly for body 1 and secondly for body 2. And once you give your argument, you need to explain it. So the first sentence should be starting with the connector, then you give your idea, second sentence should be explanation of the idea, and third sentence should be example. So you need minimum 3 to 4 sentences in your body paragraph. So firstly, or on one hand, or at the outset, idea 1, explanation, example. Body 2, the same manner, you also start with the connector. Either secondly, if you're going with the same idea, or if you're going to contradict it, use on the other hand or on the contrary, or furthermore if it's the same idea. Again, another point, explanation, example. This is the basic structure that you have to follow for any body paragraph. And then conclusion, you can start with in conclusion, eventually, overall, give a summary. Or if they ask you, do you agree or disagree, this is where you can again reconfirm you agree to this part, or you can reconfirm your opinion, and then you can give a prediction or a solution to what can be done in the future. So this is a basic structure. So especially for students aiming for 7 or above, I would not recommend memorizing a template as such. You can follow a basic structure like this, but the part where you need to work on is having enough ideas for different topics. That's an extra homework that you have to work on. Now let's see an example. But before the example, let me show you the template. So this is when you can take a screenshot, save it somewhere so you can utilize it while you practice. So for, like I said, for bands above 7, I would not recommend using a template, but you're not going to lose much marks if you use this also. But if you're someone who's really good with writing, you have basic skills, write on your own. Just follow the structure, just using the connectors. If you're aiming for band below 7, this will work perfectly. It might work for 8 also, but I want you to try even better. The statement that, this is where you include the statement from the question. If you can paraphrase it slightly, that's even better. Has been a subject of debate or discussion in recent times. In my opinion, or I agree. So you need to answer this part according to what they asked you. If they asked you, what is your opinion? Only then write in my opinion. Has more disadvantages or negative impacts. This again, use the words given in the question. If they specifically asked you what are the advantages and disadvantages, use those words. If they asked you what are the negatives and positives, use the word negative and positive in your answer. This is how you answer the question accurately and appropriately. This essay will discuss both the causes or advantages or problems, again change according to the question, and effects or disadvantages or solutions of topic. So here again, topic, whenever you use the topic, try to use synonyms or paraphrase it slightly so it looks like you wrote on your own. So after the new updates in the PTE scoring system, computer rewards you for originality. So it needs to understand that you wrote it on your own rather than simply copying or using something that is pre-memorized. So just try to write it on your own. On one hand, proponents may point out that one of the most significant, again, causes or advantages or problems, according to the question, of keyword is point one in a complete sentence. So this is a common mistake that students make. When you write a point, do not just write one word or two words. Write a whole sentence, if possible, a complex or a compound sentence with maximum keywords relevant to the topic. I'll be showing you an example later. From there, you will have a clear understanding of what I mean by point one in a complete sentence. Then you can write example. For example, several studies have found that. Okay, so you could also say according to a study conducted in Western Sydney University or something specific like that. But it's not safe to do that because that makes your answer look like it's a pre-memorized answer. So use generic sentences. Several studies that have been conducted or various researchers have proved that. For example, several studies have found that after the introduction of the topic, there has been an increase of 80%, and you can change the percentage slightly, it doesn't matter. In again, you need to write a whole sentence, not only one or two words, thanks to paraphrase the topic. On the other hand, so this is ideally applicable when you have contradicting ideas. If you have the same, you can just start with moreover or furthermore, additionally, add with another point. There are numerous arguments or solutions or effects according to the question. One of the most prevalent, again, disadvantages or solutions or effects according to the question is that dash has negative consequences for society in various ways. Firstly, a whole sentence supporting or not supporting the idea. For instance, in various parts of the world, it is evident that the proportion of negative or positive point has dropped from 40% to 10% today. Secondly, a large percentage of another complete sentence, which is a negative or a positive, has deteriorated because of, again, topic paraphrased. In conclusion, so that's how you start your conclusion. While topic phrase has its benefits or advantages, again, according to the question, the drawbacks or disadvantages outweigh the positive aspects. Moreover, so here you're going to give a solution or what can be done in the future. Moreover, governments and individuals are taking. So here again, you can even write, moreover, the government of Australia is taking a great initiative. So the problem with that is it may not apply with every question. So something that it can use universally, governments and individuals are taking. We don't know which governments, all the governments of the world. Governments and individuals are taking initiatives to address the challenges related to keyword. Citizens are being encouraged to, you need to give a solution here to tackle the detrimental effects of keyword. So take a screenshot, make sure you, if you're going to use a template, if you're really weak with grammar and vocabulary and spelling, memorize it thoroughly and have enough ideas prepared for different topics which are repeated in PTE. And if you need a sample, here is one. International travel is cheaper and more convenient than ever. Do the advantages of this outweigh the disadvantages? So here you need to remember they did not specifically ask you, do you agree or what is your opinion? So you can write either, but the important thing is you need to use the word advantage and disadvantage in the introduction paragraph of your essay as the last sentence of your introduction. So this is a sample answer I've done. The statement that international travel is cheaper and more convenient than ever. So I have used the same sentence from the question, but if you're capable, paraphrase it slightly. International travel is accessible and more cheaper than ever. So slight changes like that will be better. Has been a subject of debate in recent times. In my opinion, affordable, see, I wrote affordable international travel options. I did not write international travel is cheap again. I did not use the word cheap. I used the word affordable. This is how you can get more points for linguistic range and vocabulary. Affordable international travel options have more disadvantages than advantages. So the words from the question. On one hand, proponents may point out that one of the most significant benefits of international travel being cheap and convenient is that, paraphrased it enhances our understanding of different cultures and benefits the tourism industry. So this is the part where you need to come up with. So it's important that you have ideas. So read, go through different topics, improve your general knowledge. For example, several studies have found that after the introduction of affordable travel options, there has been an increase of 80% in different cultural and traditional knowledge among all sectors of society. So the point which I mentioned, I again paraphrased it slightly to give it as an example, thanks to the easy accessibility of foreign travel options. So instead of using the word international travel again, I used foreign travel. On the other hand, There are numerous arguments in favor of my stance. One of the most prevalent ones is that frequent international travel has negative consequences for society in various ways. So, frequent, a different word. Firstly, traveling to foreign countries frequently can be expensive and unnecessary. So, write a whole sentence here. For instance, in various parts of the world, it is evident that the proportion of youngsters interested in international travel has dropped from 40% to 10% today. Another point, secondly, a large percentage of affordable and local travel options that are available has deteriorated because of excessive international travel options. So again, ideas relevant to the topic. And then we go to the conclusion. Okay, what I meant by paragraphing is, so let's say you write this paragraph right next to the previous sentence without proper spacing. That's when the computer will not be able to recognize the structure of your essay. So after each paragraph, leave one line blank so that the next paragraph can be easily recognized. In conclusion, while cheap and convenient international travel options have the benefits, the drawbacks outweigh the positive aspects. Moreover, governments and individuals, so here is the solution, governments and individuals are taking initiatives to address the challenges related to cheap international travel options. Citizens are being encouraged to travel and explore locally. So instead of moving abroad or traveling abroad, explore local areas to tackle the detrimental effects of international travel. So you don't have to overcomplicate it. You don't have to study different templates for different essay types. Use a basic structure, something similar to this, a universal structure, which you can change to make it applicable for different essay topics. Now, coming to the most important thing, what are the common mistakes that students make here and how you can avoid them? So, first and foremost, as I already discussed, not answering the question completely, that is mentioning only one aspect of the question. So, some of the questions in PTE will have two different aspects included, two or even more sometimes, very rarely. For example, professional athletes can earn very high salaries. Many people argue that this is unfair and that other professions deserve higher salaries. To what extent do you agree or disagree? So here they have two parts in the question. One is professional athletes receiving high salaries, and the second is other professions also deserving high salaries. And the mistake that students make here is they only mention about the first part. They talk a lot about professional athletes, sports people, games, salaries that they receive, high salaries, etc. But forget to mention anything about different professions that also deserve salaries. So, in order to get full marks, ideally in the body one paragraph, you can talk about sports people and their salaries. But in body two, you need to mention other professions that also deserve high salaries. For example, professions related to medical field or teaching, they also deserve high salaries. So if you do not include that other professions part, you may end up getting very minimum marks for content. You may even get zero for content. And what happens is if your content is zero, that means the computer feels like you have not answered the prompt completely. You may get zero for your entire essay. So this is a very serious mistake you need to completely avoid. Answer every aspect of the question. Second, not answering the question appropriately. So let's say they asked you for your opinion and you wrote, I agree. And when they asked you, do you agree or disagree? You write, in my opinion. So answer according to what they ask you, as I already discussed. And the third mistake is deviating from the topic. So let's take the same question, sports people receiving high salaries and other professions who are not getting enough salary. So you include everything about sports people, about games, about athletes, but you do not mention anything about salaries. So here again, you are deviating from the topic. So let's say in the introduction you mentioned about salaries, but when you came to body one, body two, and conclusion, there is nothing about salaries or the amount of money they make. This is deviating from the topic. This also may result in getting zero in your entire essay. And then common mistake in every written task, typing accuracy, forgetting to space properly, putting double space where you're not supposed to, forgetting to put a full stop, forgetting to start a sentence with a capital letter, after a full stop, forgetting to space and writing the next word immediately, typing accuracy. And the main reason why students make typing mistakes these days is because of autocorrect options on your laptop and your phones. Because the technology is doing it for you, you're not noticing what mistakes you might make. So whenever you prepare for PT, make sure you have your prediction and autocorrect options switched off completely. Proper spelling, proper punctuation, proper spacing is very important, and wrong word count. This also very rarely happens. It's a very easy marking system. You get 2 marks for the correct word count. If you write between 200 to 300, you simply get 2 marks for your essay. So do not go below or above. Try to stay somewhere in the middle. 250, 260 would be perfect. And the next mistake, repeating vocabulary instead of using synonyms. Like I said, instead of writing very important, very important, very important over and over again, significant, critical, vital, different words instead of using the same words repeatedly. And okay, this is also something that I've noticed, especially students who have done IELTS before. I don't know why, I don't know the reason. You tend to use overly fancy words, but then it doesn't make sense in that particular context. For example, this phenomenon is quintessentially ubiquitous. It has no meaning at all, but you have very good vocabulary, quintessential, ubiquitous. It's not going to give you any marks because it's not relevant to the topic. The sentence doesn't make any sense. So you need to keep in mind, you don't need big fancy words to get good marks for vocabulary. You need the correct vocabulary appropriate for the context. So if you want to use a word but you do not really know how to use it, just don't use it. That's how you can save your marks here. So that's a quick summary of your essay. So hope you have all got the essay template. If you have any questions related to essay or any other topic in PTE, please comment below and don't forget subscribe. Thank you.